Power Radio. Tune in and power up.
Nalipa tax na hata siwezi afford kupanda taxi. Kwa banki sina kakitu, siwezi afford hata shati. Maji nanywa ya kanjo yako ya chupa za mapambo. Nalipia mtoto wako elimu ya bure ya juu. Unanipa ya bure lakini ya utu. Oh no. So nitapata wapi majibu ya maswali? Mahindi lienda wapi? Pia shilingi ya shule za msingi. Paulo mtume, mbona jela usimtume? Lazima abuniwe tume. Lazima abuniwe tume. Mapenzi ndizo hali mabasa tulificha kwa kabati. Kazi kwa vijana, pesa kwa wazee. Tulimangamanga mpaka za maded aise. Lazima abuniwe tume. Lazima abuniwe tume. Oh. Sheria. Oh. Sheria. Sheria. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Oh, oh. Sheria. Yeah, yeah. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Eh, eh. Sheria. Oh, oh. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Pia wewe mwananchi, tabia zako ziko chini. Unapenda kulipa hongo na kutumia njia za uongo. Una mipango na hata watoto wa kando. Haujui hata majina yao. Kura yako uliuza maini figo, ukakulia hadi dini. Kisha wasema tukuthamini, na wewe hapo hauaminiki. Na wewe hapo haupangiki.
Wapi kidero when you need to slap somebody? Complain ufisadi kwani ulidhani t-shirt 50 bob leso siku ya campaign ilikuwa free? Ni 5 year loan investment utalipa king ya parliament. We are one, amani we are one. Na utumishi kwa wote, utu missing CCTV we were watching. Racial insecurity na job opportunity ni kama mti ya kibiriti. Side moja heavy. Usiniambie Kenya kuna umaskini, kwani hizi fat fingers zinaibia nane? Maskando inatuleta wa survival. Media define leadership, na sura ukiaka front page na improve readership. Ambia wase wa Twitter wa hashtag hii ama hash reality doesn't make a good TT. Commission of inquiry wanakula commission bila kutupa ukweli. Ni kubaya baka kukiwa kuzuri, unashindwa nini mbaya? Machozi ya perpetrator ineza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said, nothing will be done. You're not my tribe, but you're my blood type. Lakini it doesn't have to take tragedy to know that.
Sheria.
Sina makosa fande uniwie radhi, nimetoka kuimba na kitambulisho misina, nimepoteza walena, sijachukua nyingine na sijakata kosa nililofanya, sijakata kitambulisho sina, sijakata chini nimeshaketi, usiniseti afande, usiniseti afande. Hey, you in the blue uniform, if I have wronged you, I will reform. Raia nalia, hey, hey you. Natambua kwamba ulilofanya kitambulisho hicho hauna, nikufanyeje? Mapato yangu ni madogo, nategemea kidogo, ni kazi yangu, ujira wangu, hujakata kosa ulilofanya, hujakata chini umeshaketi, hujakata kitambulisho una, nitakusaidia kwa sheria.
Kuchelewa siku mingi nimekulenga, naona watu zoea. Kwanzia leo nakuonya ujichunge, ama nitakuweka ndani. Hujakata kosa ulilofanya, nakuonya mwananchi wewe, nitakuacha leo uende nyumbani, onyo kwako raia we. If I have wronged you, I will reform. Raia nalia. Hey you, in the blue uniform.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Our radio. From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Our radio.
Many faces, many races. I've come through many places, but I never seen a sky so blue. My mind and so free and so whole, yeah. But I never seen a sky so blue.
Yo, giddy maji, yeah. And the 6 SA Groove Machine, come on, D-Rex, one. Tunda na mi Inega inego wato ok nege Imaka kimako wato ok make Nene, yote tokwa lo pesa wa ebengi Intame, aneko kibithoko uko taya Maji tapo shine Pile katache kakilo nu watch mara Dierka himo 44 Tida winjo kaluora olo mi amor Ping tine uor, gochonge pinyi lem Yesu, Lion of Judah Nene, maricho mase timoneji Tobene wena, aher ngata wenga Kajita loke Judas ma Iscariot
Many faces, many faces.
Yeah.
I've come through many places,
yeah.
but I never seen a sky so blue. My mind and so yeah. Free and so whole, yeah.
Yeah.
But I never seen a sky so blue.
Marakora to wena, mi akan. Cheno manya sa en mana, nikik alal.
Anginga, tawenga, nena kakacha. Teno manyasa en mana, nike kala. Para donje wia, kaneno gigingia. Nikata timna nate, meto donje wia.
Many faces, many faces. I've come through many places, but I never seen a sky so blue. My mind is so free and so whole, yeah. But I never seen a sky so blue. Many faces, many faces.
Yeah.
I've come through many places,
Yeah.
but I never seen a sky so blue.
Giddy giddy mati mati giddy giddy mati
My mind
mati.
is so
Yeah.
free and so whole, yeah.
Yeah.
But I never seen a sky so blue.
Giddy giddy mati mati giddy giddy
Okay,
mati.
badala ya wizi nashika MIC kama TPSC MC kutoka Kenya jo. Ayo, nani atasema ati hatujafika? Na siku hizi tunasikika Afrika. Nawakilisha, natisha, nabisha, left right, yani kulia kushoto, staki msoto. Yani ndiyo maana siku hizi tuna rock out. Kutoka Cairo yani mpaka Cape Town.
Many faces, many faces.
Yeah.
I've come through many places,
Yeah.
but I never seen a sky so blue.
Giddy giddy mati mati giddy giddy mati
My
mati.
mind is so
Yeah.
free and so whole, yeah.
Yeah.
But I never seen a sky so blue.
Giddy giddy mati mati giddy giddy mati.
Power Radio. Tune in and power up.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy. It is you I think about when I wake up in the morning. You I think about when I'm walking in the day. You I think about when I'm sleeping at night. You niwe mpenzi wangu. You niwe mwangaza wangu. Let me walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Uwe wangu wa milele na milele. Mpenzi na kuwaza kishenzi. Oh, niwe kichwa changu, roho yangu niwe. Rafiki wangu wa milele.
Let me walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy. Let me walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Twende nani wewe wafanya moyo wangu dunde kwa masekunde, ni kama nimefunga dude ama nimepatiwa recording deal ya bure. Ndio sababu nataka uwe wangu wa milele. Your smile, the way you walk, the way you talk, inafanya kila mtu aseme oh my god. Inafanya heaven and earth to come to a stop. Sema kweli my girl, you're too damn
Let
hot.
me
Hey.
walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy. Let me walk with you, talk till you know how you feel. Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Natabasamu kila siku juu yako.
Songa karibu mpenzi wangu, you're so sexy.
Power Radio. Tune in and power up.
Mzee alisema hakuna cha bure, huo msemo tumeutafsiri kinyume. Hata shule kuingiza mtoto lazima utoe mchoto. Kupata simu ni bala, road license bei nafuu utanunua. Kupoteza ID ni mashaka, twarudisha jamhuri yetu nyuma. Nchi ya kitu kidogo ni nchi ya watu wadogo. Ukitaka chai ewe ndugu, nenda Limuru. Hata nyumbani ukipatwa na majambazi, kupiga 99 masema sisi hatuna gari. Lete 5,000 ya petroli, saidia utumishi. Mahakamani hela ndiyo haki, kwa 1,000 mshtakiwa ndiwe mshtaki. Utajiri huwa ushahidi, twarudisha jamhuri yetu nyuma. Jamani, nchi
Kenyatta, madawa zimeisha, mashiti za uzwa, marikiti 100 kwa 100. Wafanyi kazi waenda miezi bila pesa, ni bahati ukitibiwa. Mzigo wetu unazidi kuwa mzito, watoto wane na mshahara wa 2500 ya vitabu na viatu na vyakula. Nauliza na mbotela, je, huu ni ungwana? Nchi ya kitu kidogo, ni nchi ya watu wadogo. Ukitaka chai ewe ndugu, nenda Limuru. Nchi ya kitu kidogo, ni nchi ya watu wadogo. Ukitaka chai ewe mama, nunua Ketepa.
That is Nchi ya Kitu Kidogo by Eric Wainaina. If you know how old that song is, why don't you just send us a tweet? If you know when Nchi ya Kitu Kidogo by Eric Wainaina was released, it's a fantastic song that every time you listen to that song, you wonder really, have we moved on as a country? Have we really moved? Because many of the issues raised in that song are still same issues we're dealing with today. Anyway, today we're talking about the death penalty in Kenya. Now, two gentlemen by the name of Francis Karioko Murwatetu and Wilson Dhirimbu Mwangi were arraigned before the High Court for the offense of murder. And remember, the offense of murder is created under Section 203 of the Penal Code, as read together with Section 204. Now, they were convicted and were sentenced to death in line with Section 204 of the Penal Code, which contains the death penalty. Now, they filed an appeal to the Court of Appeal on 2 grounds. The first one, it was said that we are appealing the conviction. It is our belief that we were unfairly or wrongly found guilty. But the second thing also is that they appealed that the mandatory death sentence imposed upon them was unconstitutional and is therefore null and void. Now, what was the argument here? Section 204 of the Penal Code provides that once you've been found guilty of the offense of murder, the only penalty you can receive is a penalty of death. Now, this may seem pretty straightforward, but what was the problem here? What was the issue? Now, in law, if you look at the Constitution of Kenya under Article 50, we have what we call, these are the rights of an arrested person. Now, remember, part of the rights of a person who's gone through a criminal trial is that at the end of that trial, once you've been found guilty, the court gives you an opportunity to present mitigating circumstances. Mitigating circumstances is when you tell the court, yes, you found me guilty, but would you consider these circumstances as you give me your sentence? Now, Section 204 of the Penal Code sets death penalty as mandatory, which meant that the judge or the judicial officer, their hands were tied, regardless of how good your story was, regardless of how dire your circumstances were. There's nothing they could do apart from sentence you to death. And that was one of the grounds they were appealing. They were saying, what is the point of mitigation if it will not even be considered? What is the point of telling the judge, for instance, hey, I'm the breadwinner in my family. I have young children who need my support. If you sentence me to death, if you take me to prison, these children will actually suffer. There is greater harm in sending me to prison than keeping me out. The Supreme Court actually agreed. The Supreme Court said that to the extent that Section 204 of the Penal Code binds the judge and the judge can only issue one sentence, and that is a death penalty, that is unconstitutional for several reasons. Remember, number one, the Constitution of Kenya is clear on the independence of the judiciary. A judicial officer, when they sit to listen to a case, part of their independence is the ability for them to make a decision based on the peculiar facts and the peculiar circumstances of each case. Now, recently, there was a case that came out of the High Court in Kenya where a gentleman killed someone else. So let me paint the picture for you. You have your mother in the house, right? Someone comes and attacks your mother. When you learn of the attack, you come to defend your mother. In the course of defending your mother, you kill this person, right? So you're acting in defense of your mother, and unfortunately, the person dies. Now, regardless of the circumstances, of course, you're going to be taken to court and you have to answer to the charge of murder. That is what happened in this case. Now, the court then was being invited to consider. My mother was being harmed. I took the action that I took because I wanted to protect her from further harm, right? So, can such a person really be sentenced to death? Or are there circumstances like those where we sit and consider and say, you know, for this one, yes, the offense was murder was committed. Yes, this person is guilty, but it will be an injustice to take them to prison, right? And in this case, what the court said is he will serve his time out of jail because of the unique circumstances. Now, in criminal law, there is no case that is black and white, right? There are no cases that are alike. That is why the court is given the opportunity in terms of mitigation to actually listen to the story of the parties. We've had cases go before court where you have someone has committed a murder, but for instance, a husband has killed his wife, right? Maybe they were involved in a fight or something and the wife has died, but they have very young children. They have children who are like 2 years, 3 years old. So in such a moment, the court, yes, finds, yes, you're guilty, but now let us consider what happens to the children if this father or if this mother is taken to jail. What is the greater harm that is being committed here? Secondly, the court also receives what we call the probation officer's report, right? Now, the purpose of the probation officer is to come, have an interview with you, go to your village where you live, ask people. Let's say you're Deno, for instance. Who is Deno? How has Deno been in this community? And they collect all those views and then they prepare a report and take it to the judge. The purpose of this report is that it helps the judge in determining what sentence am I going to give out. But then there's also what we call the victim impact assessment, right? Where now the victim of your crime. So for instance, of course, once someone is killed, they are not there to tell you this is how this has impacted me, but maybe they had family, maybe they had children, maybe they had a husband or a wife, right? Maybe they had a mother or a father. Their views also need to be taken into consideration, and the court has to look at that and say, okay, this person also has clearly been impacted by the crime that so-and-so has committed, right? So what that then means is that all these taken together, they then help the judge to determine what is a proper sentence. And remember, in Kenya, there are many kinds of sentences. You could have a custodial sentence, which means you're given jail time. You have to go to court. You have to go to the prisons and you're kept there for a certain duration of time. Sometimes the court can allow you to serve your jail time outside of jail because of the circumstances of your case, right? Sometimes you have what we call a suspended sentence. The argument by Murwatetu and Mr. Dhirimbu was that if the court cannot consider my unique circumstances in a case of murder, then it goes against my constitutional right. Because remember, the Constitution guarantees the right of an accused person to actually mitigate, to bring forward reasons and tell the court, for this reason, I think as you carry out your sentence, you should consider these factors and let that guide you as you make your decision on what sentence I should get. Now, the Court of Appeal completely agreed with this and held that where a judge or a judicial officer is held, and I'm just going to read, let me read this for you as the court says. This is what the court said. Section 204 of the Penal Code, which provides for a mandatory death sentence, is antithetical to the constitutional provisions on protection against inhuman or degrading punishment or treatment and fair trial. The court noted that while the Constitution itself recognizes the death penalty as being lawful, it does not say anywhere that when a conviction for murder is recorded, only the death penalty or the death sentence shall be imposed. The court declared that Section 204 shall, to the extent it provides that the death penalty is the only sentence in respect of the crime of murder, is inconsistent with the letter and spirit of the Constitution, which, as we have said, makes no such mandatory provisions. So, what is the court saying here? It cannot only be the death penalty. Let it be one among the options. And this, I guess, now helps to clarify the confusion that I saw online with a lot of people. Did Murotetu say that the death penalty is unconstitutional? No. The Supreme Court in Murotetu simply said that to make the death penalty the only sentence for murder is unconstitutional. It could be one among many sentences, right? We're going to be talking about what the other courts have held, because remember, when Kibaki, remember in 2009, President Kibaki commuted the death sentences to life. President Uhuru Kenyatta as well came and commuted the same. But now then the question is, if your death sentence has been commuted to a life sentence, which means you're in jail until the day you drop dead, is that also legal? Is it constitutional? That's what we're going to be talking about next. Keep it right here
From
on Power Radio.
sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Why really long child on a reggaeton tape? Why really long child on a reggaeton tape? Why really long child on a reggaeton tape? Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. Why really long child on a reggaeton tape? Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. Homeboys production, no? Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. Why really long child on a reggaeton tape? Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. It's me or your ex-boyfriend. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. Your answer to me will be a choice. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. It's me or your ex-boyfriend. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. Your answer to me will be a choice. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. You're not a fool when it comes to your little antics, all your sneaky ways and your little small tricks. Don't you know that me was a player before you met me? All the games that you playing, them are not new to me. When me met you, girl, you didn't have a penny to your name. Took all of me time to take away all your pain. Know your ex-boyfriend, him that you're thinking, whether staying with the love child is not the real thing. Think hard about your principle. The choice you're making for now could be critical. Just remember, be wise when you're choosing. In the long run, it's you abusing. It's me or your ex-boyfriend. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. Your answer to me will be a choice. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. It's me or your ex-boyfriend. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. Your answer to me will be a choice. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. What you think about the reason that you left him? All of the promises he left with. Think about the feelings in the heart that he messed with, and all the grief you are blessed with. Don't take a wise man to realize him not deserve you. He can't guarantee a love that doesn't hurt you. He can't turn back and claim that he loved you. Only move around and say that he never loved you. The ball's in your court now. Take your time, think about what you want now. Only time that you got now to make a choice. Make up your mind, opportunity not come twice. It's me or your ex-boyfriend. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. Your answer to me will be a choice. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. It's me or your ex-boyfriend. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. Your answer to me will be a choice. Make a choice, put your girl, make a choice. The choice that you're making should be wise, not the worst that you're making. The choice that you're making better be wise, not the worst that you're making. The choice that you're making should be wise, not the worst that you're making. The choice that you're making better be wise, not the worst that you're making. If you know you got a boyfriend, make a choice. And your ex will come around, make a choice. Make up your mind, you can't run around, make a choice. Bring together better, make a choice. If you know you got a boyfriend, and your ex him a come around, make up your mind, you can run around. Make a choice, pretty girl, you better make a choice. If you or your ex-boyfriend, make a choice. Make a choice, pretty girl, make a choice. Your answer to me what be a choice. Make a choice, pretty girl, make a choice. If me or your ex-boyfriend, make a choice. Make a choice, pretty girl, make a choice. Your answer to me what be a choice. Make a choice, pretty girl, make a choice. If me or your ex-boyfriend, make a choice. Make a choice, pretty girl, make a choice. Your answer to me what be a choice. Make a choice, pretty girl, make a choice. If me or your ex-boyfriend, make a choice. Make a choice, pretty girl, make a choice. Your answer to me what be a choice.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Welcome to Sheria Dive on Power Radio with me, James Wanjeri. Now remember, you can always tweet and ask us some questions. Is it a tweet or a post, man? Elon, man. Anyway, at Power Radio on X or Twitter, actually on all platforms. And you can reach me at James Wanjeri on Instagram and at James K. Wanjeri on X Twitter. Fantastic. Now, we've talked about the Muruatetu case and the fact that the Supreme Court of Kenya said that to only make the death penalty the only sentence available for someone convicted of the crime either of murder, for the crime of murder, is then to tie the hands of a judicial officer. And subsequently, courts have held that that decision actually applies in other matters. So what happened next? Many, based on the commutal of death sentence to life, courts began sentencing people to life imprisonment, right? But we had a different sort of case that came through in 2023. Now, this was a case of Julius Kitsao Manyeso versus the Republic. This was a criminal application number 12 of 2021. Just let me give you a background on what happened here. Julius was sued by the state in the magistrate's court at Malindi in criminal case number 64 of 2013. In that matter, the Honorable Justice Gisheha found the accused person guilty of defilement and sentenced him to life imprisonment. Unhappy with this conviction, he appealed both the conviction and the sentencing to the High Court at Malindi in criminal appeal number 60 of 2018. And one of his grounds was that the charge was defective, the actual age of the victim was not proved beyond reasonable doubt, and that his defense was not considered. On 14th May 2020, Justice Nyakundi found that he had been convicted on overwhelming evidence for the crime of defilement, and consequently, it upheld his sentencing. He then goes before the Court of Appeal. Now, in the Court of Appeal, he finds a three-judge bench made up of Justice Pauline Nyamoya, Justice Jesse Lesit, and Justice G.V. Odunga. And his grounds of appeal were as follows. Number one, he says, the judge failed to consider that I was denied the right to information in terms of witness statements. The second thing he says is that the learned judge failed to consider that he was denied his right to legal representation. But of course, the one key thing that he highlighted, which is what we'll be talking about today, is that he said that under Section 82 of the Sexual Offences Act, the fact that there's a mandatory life sentence, under Section 82, if you're found guilty of that offense, the mandatory sentence is life. There's no other option. You can't be given a few years, nothing. It's a life sentence. And he says that section of the Sexual Offences Act denied the judicial officer, right? It denied them the opportunity to exercise their legitimate jurisdiction, to exercise discretion. Remember what I said about discretion earlier? Discretion is key in judicial matters and in court matters because as a judge sits to listen to your case, they have the discretion to rule in different ways, to consider different circumstances. And he argued that because this mandatory sentence takes away that discretion of the judicial officer or the judge and only binds that person to say, I sentence you to life and life alone, then it was a contravention of Article 27 and 28 of the Constitution. So what has happened now? We're talking about the life sentence. Now, the court considered that final ground of appeal. On the first two grounds of appeal, he lost, right? But they considered that last ground of appeal, where the trial court has to impose a sentence that has already been predetermined by Parliament. And part of the argument has always been, if Parliament ties the hands of a judicial officer or the judge, then it interferes with judicial independence, because in essence, then Parliament is controlling the judiciary. And remember, if you remember your studies in GHC, what's our GHC? I think now it's called social studies. You'll remember that we have three arms of government, right? We have the executive, we have the legislature, which is Parliament, and then we have the judiciary. Now, the independence of the judiciary is very key, because a judicial officer should never be controlled by someone else in how they carry out their functions. If that happens, then it is clear that judicial independence has been violated. That was his argument, right? So, of course, one of the first things that the Court of Appeal does is it goes back to Muruatetu, right? And in Muruatetu, the court clarified that mandatory sentences, to the extent that they are mandatory in nature, they're unconstitutional, right? Now, the Court of Appeal was being asked, is a life sentence unconstitutional? To send someone to life, man, you're in prison until the day you drop dead. Is that a constitutional sentence? Does that amount to passing a sentence that is cruel to the person? Now, the court reasoned that a convict facing life imprisonment, when you give them mandatory indefinite life sentence, you deny them an opportunity to be heard in mitigation. Remember mitigation? You cannot mitigate against a mandatory sentence, because regardless of what you say, regardless of how much information you give, the court will still say, I've heard your story, cool story, bro, but this is the only thing that can happen. The Court of Appeal said that that denial is unjustifiable discrimination. It's unfair, and it offends the principle of equality under Article 27 of the Constitution. The second thing the court said was that to sentence someone to life, right, it is inhumane treatment, and it violates their right to dignity. It is now a principle in international law that all prisoners, including those serving life sentences, be offered the possibility of rehabilitation and the prospect of release if that rehabilitation is achieved. Now, you have to realize that in terms of the criminal law and the criminal structure we have in Kenya, we are moving away from using the system to punish people, but rather to rehabilitate them. Because the idea is, how do we get this murderer back into society? Can the murderer be rehabilitated enough to the point where they can now be accepted into society? Has the court process or the criminal process going to prison and all that, have they been rehabilitated so that they can now come back into the community? And that's what the court is saying. If you send someone to prison for life, you're denying them the opportunity to actually be rehabilitated and to come out here. Okay? So the court noted that, and I'll read this verbatim, that such a sentence amounts to an indefinite imprisonment and it cannot work. So what happens in this case? The court said that when someone is sentenced to life, then there has to be a number that is given, right? You have to give a number for that case and say, if it is life imprisonment, it is a life imprisonment of X number of years. So this means that today, courts in Kenya cannot sentence you to life imprisonment. Hey, you are going to spend the rest of your life in prison. No. That does not happen. So it's interesting to look at Joey's case. Of course, we know Joey has now filed a notice of appeal. A notice of appeal is a document you sign to indicate to the court that, hey, I'm planning to appeal this decision. And it will be very, very interesting to actually look at this, because in this case, Joey received the death penalty, which was within the right of the court to do. But did the court consider all circumstances? Did the court hear him out? That's what the Court of Appeal will be dealing with. And when that comes up, of course, we're going to listen to it and to handle it. I don't know how you feel about this matter. Remember, you can always shout out, send your questions on @Power254. as we just try to take a deep dive into these legal matters. But most importantly, you know what? Don't go around killing people, man. Don't do it. You know, like the reason why we have the penal code is because we have people in our society who just want to engage in crime. And I know sometimes, guys, and especially because it's a weekend, let me give you some free advice as a lawyer. If you can walk away from a situation, just walk away from it. Because sometimes all it takes is 1 minute for your life to completely change. And whatever you thought you knew, that completely transforms. So remember, we need to be people who uphold the law. We need to be people who live within the law. And we need to be people who live in a society where no one is harming the other person and we're all just living in love, peace, and unity. Pamoja, this has been Sheria Dive. Man, an hour feels so short, so I'm going to talk to Bernard to maybe give us 2 hours or something. I don't know. Can we talk about law for 2 hours? Anyway, that is it. We're going to be getting Midnight Train by Sauti Soul because when you hear that song, you know the show is over and we're leaving. But before we get to that final song, I don't know how you feel about how Joey's case was handled, because I've seen a lot of people online. There's been a lot of sympathy for Joey, and it's been very interesting to see the sympathy that Joey has received. And of course, there have been very many questions that people have asked, you know, was this the proper decision? Was this the right thing to do? You know, we may never get to answer those questions because they'll vary from one person to the other. But the beauty of the law is this. The law is the law, and it's black and white. But also, the law is never really clear. I'm Jameson Jerry, and I've been your host on Sheria Dive. Have a fantastic Saturday. It's that sundress or swimming sort of weather, so enjoy yourself. Remember, it only takes a minute. It only takes one action for you to be on the other side of the law. And I want you to be on the right side of the law. That's why we have this show, to make sure that you know what the law is and how you can ensure that you don't find yourself on the wrong side of the law. Have a fantastic weekend. See you next week. God bless.
Steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion.
Hii maisha ni safari, tunapita kama moshi, na kabla tuzame mchangani, kuna kushinda na kufeli. Oh, inabidi ujijue tofauti ya mwalimu na mwanafunzi ni ujuzi na ujuaji. Oh, it's unbelievable that we make it this far. Undeniable, we see the promised land from afar, and it's so beautiful. No, they can't touch the fire, and you know it's not in vain. Steady tripping through the pain. Oh, man.
Steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train.
Oh, Lord.
Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train.
Steady rocking on the midnight train. On the midnight train. To Zion.
Siku zazidi badilika, mengi yazidi kunipita jama. Oh no, maji yalipozidi unga, hawakudhani tutafika fika. It's unbelievable that we made it this far. Undeniable to see the promised land from afar. So beautiful, they gon' know who we are. They keep on walking in the rain. Kuna blessings in the pain. Whoa.
Steady rocking on the midnight train.
Steady, ready, ready, ready.
Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion.
moving to Zion, to Zion, to Zion. Yeah, 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 yeah. Rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion, to Zion, to Zion. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train.
Power Radio.